Hi everyone and welcome to another edition of the Celtic View Podcast. As we're here at the home of Legia Warsaw in the Polish capital city of Warsaw. Now we're not taking on Legia in our second Champions League match. We're taking on Shakhtar Donetsk, who have to play their games in Poland because of the war in Ukraine. It's set to be a really exciting match on Wednesday night. The Celts come into this one after last week's defeat at home to Real Madrid. Well, Shakhtar Donetsk, well, they got a very impressive 4-1 win away from home against RB Leipzig. Now, before we get into the podcast, I just want to let you all know that the brand new Celtic View is out in club shops at this moment, where you can read exclusive interviews with the likes of Jota, Cal McGregor, and even the King of Kings, Henrik Larsson. So make sure you get into club shops to get yourself a copy of that. Now, before we flew out for this match, I sat down with Cameron Carter-Vickers to look ahead to Shakhtar Donetsk and hear about his time at Celtic 1 year on from his debut. And we also spoke to Ukrainian football journalist Andrew Todos to get the lowdown on Shakhtar. Cameron, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast. How's things with you?
Yeah, no, all good.
Yeah, all good. We're actually recording this podcast a day before we travel away to the game, and it's actually, I don't know if you know this, it's been a year to the day, a year and 1 day actually from your debut appearance for Celtic in that game against Ross County when you got the goal. Time flown for you over that time?
Yeah, no, it has gone quick.
Yeah.
I knew it was roughly a year because obviously started the new season now, but yeah, no, it's definitely gone quick.
Yeah, I was looking back at the goal earlier today. I mean, do you think if it doesn't take that deflection, it's going in the back of the net? What are you saying?
Nah, to be honest now, I don't know where it's going, to be fair, if you don't get the deflection, but yeah, no, luckily obviously the defender tried to block it, bounced off him and flew in.
Yeah. How do you feel kind of a year on from that moment? Like, first of all, as a player, do you think you've really kind of developed quite a lot over that period of time?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously working with the manager here, I think he's a really top manager. So I think any player that kind of works with him for a long period of time will improve and get better.
What do you think is the main aspects of your game that's improved over that time?
Probably say a bit of everything. I think, so individually I'll probably say kind of staying calm under pressure on the ball, stuff like that. And then I think kind of as a defensive unit and a back four especially, we've kind of come a long way in the way we kind of move together and defend together, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that goal against Ross County, I don't think we've seen you take too many shots from distance since then. Why are you not taking any more? You not fancy yourself?
I've actually took a few, which most of them have gone wider over, so yeah.
So stopped it after that?
Yeah, so I stopped after that. But yeah, I mean, you don't get the opportunity too much playing centre-back, so.
Yeah. If you were to rate your chances against all the other centre-halves at the club, do you think you've got the best long shot from distance?
I don't know about long. I'll say I'm the best finisher.
Yeah?
I think if you put the centre-backs in a finishing drill, I think I'd get them off.
You come out on top?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Right, okay. We need to see more up the end of the park then too. You did get a few last season, though? You did get a few.
A few.
Yeah, and what about if you were to have like a free kick situation out of all the centre-halves? What would you say? Are you still on top?
Nah, I would say. Maybe Welshie, to be fair.
Welshie?
Yeah, I think Welshie, free kicks, I think Welshie would
nice,
probably
that wee curler over the ball. I could see that happening. In terms of, like, in that year as well, away from the pitch, do you feel a lot more settled in Glasgow? How's things going for you?
You know, I really like it. Apart from the rain, it's pretty good. It's nice. I actually enjoy living here. People are quite friendly and stuff like that, so yeah.
Is that a big part in, obviously the football is the most important thing when you're making that decision to join permanently, but does that have a big impact as well in your decision?
I think so. I think obviously it's important to kind of be happy wherever you are, just in general life, so yeah, I'll say a little bit.
Yeah. What's the main differences, do you think, from like life in Glasgow to life back home in London? Is it the rain kind of the biggest thing?
Yeah, to be fair, probably just the weather. That probably is the biggest difference. Obviously, the accent as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, not.
Have you got used to it now?
Yeah, I've got most of the time.
Okay.
Sometimes when some of the Scottish boys get talking, they start talking really quick and I can't understand. Or the kit man. Half the time I don't know what the kit man's saying. But yeah, no, for the most part.
Are you also teaching like people from Glasgow and people from Scotland like slang from London and things as well?
I don't know if I wouldn't say I'm teaching them, but I think sometimes they not wind me up, but they just have to repeat some of the things I say. So, yeah.
Is there any things that you've said where people are just going like, "What is that?"
Nah, not really.
No.
They like in it. when I say in it, like, I don't know why, but it's a thing. I come in the morning and it's got like it's TCV in it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why they do it, but yeah.
I was actually doing some research before doing this interview. I always try to read up on some bits and bobs with people. And one thing I read about you I thought was quite interesting was is it true that you were a shot put champion when you were younger? Is that right?
Yeah. That was in, I think, year 9.
Okay.
I know our school system's a bit different
in
Scotland, but yeah, year 9, so I was like 13, 14.
Okay.
I represented Essex, which is like my county, for shot put, in like the national competition.
So were you pretty decent?
Yeah, I was alright. I finished 6th. I think I finished 6th in the national competition, so yeah.
Wow, okay. So okay. Never thought, obviously football was always a thing, but do you think you could have done anything with it?
I don't know, really. I enjoyed it, like, obviously, when I was younger, but I never really took it too seriously, to be honest. Yeah.
And we also kind of know a bit about your links with basketball with your dad and things as well. Were you any decent at that?
Yeah, I was alright again. I played it in school, just for like my school team. Again, I never joined a club or took it too seriously. But yeah.
Are you just kind of a naturally kind of sporty person then, growing up and just kind of take your hand at all types of different sports?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
If football wasn't the sport you ended up going into career-wise, do you think there was another thing you might have been quite good at? I can imagine it's a bit of a rugby sport player with your pace. And
yeah, maybe rugby. Well, if I grew up in America, I think I'd like to play NFL, American football, yeah.
Okay. Have you got a team? Are you a fan?
Nah. To be fair, I watch bits and bobs, but it's on late at
night.
Most time,
So is this kind of like, see, in terms of like your physique and your pace and things, is that just something that's quite natural? Is that something you have to work on quite a lot?
I'd say it's probably partly natural. My dad's quite like naturally big guy, so probably a bit from him. But yeah, obviously now it's just kind of maintaining it and keeping it going. Yeah.
Are you backing yourself in terms of against everyone else in the squad if you were to have like a gym session and squat expansion?
I think so. Yeah. But to be honest, I don't actually do too much gym.
Okay.
So I might be a bit detrained in it if there was a competition.
Yeah.
But I think if say we said, right, we're having a competition in 2 weeks' time, and I could get a bit of training, I think I'd win. Yeah.
People always say as well. I mean, we've seen your pace on the pitch, but maybe you don't see it as much because you're from centre half. You're not like just running down the wings and things. But we always do hear from when we do teammates quizzes with players. They always say you're the fastest. Are you backing yourself in that as well?
I don't know. I personally wouldn't say it. I'll probably go Dyson or Starfelt or Carl. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, Carl's quick.
You faster yourself?
Like over long distances. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say once I get going, like up to speed, I'm pretty quick. Maybe like peak speed. I'll be up there.
Like 100 meters or something, or?
No, I just mean like say you was to take our fastest speed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll be up there, but
it's a quick group though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dyson and Kyogo, it's
there's a lot. To be fair, more or less everyone's pretty quick.
Yeah. We've been watching obviously this season in terms of the football. Things have been going pretty well for the team at the moment. How are things in the camp? How are you enjoying the football at this moment?
Yeah, no, everyone's enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It's going well. Obviously, it's still early, so we've got to keep going and keep focused. But yeah, it's going well. Do
you think much has changed this season compared to last in the group, or do you think it's just like a constant evolution that the team's kind of improving?
Yeah, I think we've definitely improved. I think from the end of last season, I think where we're at now is probably a little improvement. But yeah, I think it's just obviously the more a group kind of plays together and the more time you spend together, it's natural that things become a bit more cohesive.
Yeah. We've watched you play alongside 3 different centre-halves so far this season. All 3 of them have scored. Where's your goal at this moment? When's it coming?
Yeah, I know, everyone keeps saying that. but yeah, I mean, hopefully a few come along the season.
Are they having a go at you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully I do score a few come the end of the season, but if I don't, and we're still winning games, I don't really mind,
You always hear about like strikers and strike partners having competitions between themselves about who'd score more goals at the end of the season. Do you have that at all as defenders?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Yeah, I don't think so. Like I said, as long as we are winning games and somebody's scoring, I don't really care.
If you're keeping them out, then that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the main thing.
In terms of, we're playing Shakhtar Donetsk away from home on Wednesday. In Warsaw, a bit more of a kind of different situation. Just in terms of that first Champions League game against Real Madrid, your first experience in the competition, what was that like for you to kind of have that? Obviously it wasn't the right result in the end, but still a lot you can kind of take and learn from that.
I think there's definitely a lot of things we can kind of learn from that game. I'll say probably the first 50, 55 minutes we were very good. I thought we competed really well and we probably had the better chance in the game. But I think you kind of see as the game went on, they kind of grew into the game and gradually kind of pushed us back. And obviously, I think in them kind of games, scoring the first goal is massively important. And they managed to do that. So yeah.
Yeah. What's it like to be playing up against like Benzema and Vinicius? Is it just kind of taking that game to another level? Do you need to be a lot more switched on in those moments?
Yeah, I think so. It's good though. You always want to play against kind of the best players to see where you kind of measure up. So yeah.
Yeah. So going into the game against Shakhtar on Wednesday, they beat Leipzig 4-1 in their first match. So it's obviously going to be another difficult test as well. How's the mood going into that one?
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. I think we've kind of, even though we lost 3-0, I think we kind of took a bit of confidence from the Real Madrid game. So yeah, we're ready to go and looking forward to it.
One of the kind of interesting things as well is that the game is in Warsaw. It's a ground we were at in pre-season as well. So do you think that'll help, just having a little bit more familiarity with the city and stadium at all?
I don't know, to be honest. Maybe for me personally, probably not. I don't think it really matters too much where you play, but maybe for some players, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like as a group as well, the fact that we are going away from home, but because of the way that we've been playing so far this season and last season, it doesn't really matter if it's at home or away, like the outcome and the goal's still the same to get 3 points? Yeah,
no, 100%. I think we go into every game trying to win it. Obviously, playing at home does give us a boost. With our crowd, it's always a top atmosphere. But yeah, I mean, you play half your games away, so you can't go into every game away kind of trying to play different or trying to act different. So yeah, we're ready for it.
It should be a good one. Hopefully, looking forward to it. So Cameron, what we always do when we have a guest on is we finish off with a quick fire quiz, 60 seconds on the clock. So far, the top scorer has been 7, which both Yakimakis got and Taylor Otto in the women's team as well. So, do you fancy your chances? Do you think you can beat him?
I don't know what are they.
Well, you'll find out in a minute. That's I can't disclose them. So I'm going to set 60 seconds on the clock. We're going to run through some of them. So let's see what you get. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. So you scored in your debut against which team?
Ross County.
Yep. What other player scored in that game?
RB.
Yep. Moritz Jens is from which German city?
Pass. I don't know.
Berlin.
Oh, yeah.
Matt O'Reilly was in which club's youth academy?
Fulham.
Yep. Other than Celtic, in which loan move did you make the most appearances?
Swansea.
Yep.
Yeah.
What US player scored when you made your international debut against Portugal in 2017?
Weston McKennie.
Yep. Who scored more goals last season, Rogic or Turnbull?
Turnbull.
Yep. Who scored more goals this season, Jota or Abada?
Abada.
Yep. Name one A-League team the manager has managed.
Pass.
Oh. You've been managed by Pochettino and Mick McCarthy, but who won more caps for a country?
Mick.
Yep. And how many caps do you have for the US?
11.
10.
That's
bang on a minute. There you go, that was 8, Cam. So that's you top of the leaderboard, taking that.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
I think, every time someone comes on, they're going to have to beat your score so you can get back to Yorkis and tell you beat him. Yeah. Well, Cam, thanks very much for joining us.
Cheers.
And all the best on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Good man.
Yeah, we're delighted to say we have Ukrainian football journalist and writer for Zorya Londonsk, Andrew Todos, with us. Andrew, we're all very much looking forward to this Champions League match against Shakhtar Donetsk. How are things shaping up in the Shakhtar camp ahead of this match?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a good start to the season. They're currently joint top of the table in the Ukrainian Premier League after 4 matches played. 3 wins, 1 draw. And obviously they got that big surprising win last week against RB Leipzig, which I think took everyone back a bit in terms of the scoreline and the fact that they actually won it based on obviously the past 6 months and how difficult that has been, not just for Shakhtar, but Ukrainian football and Ukraine in general.
Yeah, and we'll touch a little bit more on the results in a minute, but just in the general point of view in terms of how things are for Shakhtar. We know the league season started back up
in Ukraine. How difficult has it been in the last 6 months, and how happy are they really just to be back playing football?
Yeah, I think obviously it's a massive positive that the Ukrainian Premier League's back, that the fact that they can play the Champions League, albeit in Poland instead of in Ukraine for obvious security reasons. And I think everyone's just happy that they could, well, especially the players and the staff, etc., just happy that they can get back to a bit of normality in their own careers and lives, albeit also knowing that they're playing a bit more than just the Shakhtar fans, especially in Europe. They're playing sort of representing all of Ukraine in the Champions League as the sole representatives. But yeah, the past 6 months have been pretty tough on everyone. A lot of the players inside sort of the first month and a half, the Ukrainian ones anyway, had to stay in Ukraine. They were in bomb shelters and all the like. Some of them helped out with volunteering. Some of them were doing other things. More or less all the foreigners left the team. They joined other clubs on loan or signed on other permanents. Shakhtar have lost a lot of money as a result of that because of a special FIFA rule where people can sort of suspend their contracts, and then it means that they can end up leaving for free at the end of their that term because they can't re-sign or there's no extension, etc., for a lot of these players who are going into their final year, final 18 months. And yeah, so they've, from about mid-April, Shakhtar sort of regrouped and started playing friendlies across all of Europe against sides like Galatasaray, I think Olympiacos, and loads of big teams, including Ajax actually in recent weeks as well. And that's sort of been the only competitive football they've had until about 3-4 weeks ago when the Ukrainian Premier League started. So it's been a bit of a slow start in the Premier League, an initial 0-0 draw, and then a few 1-0 wins, and then a 97th minute winner against Chorona Moritz this weekend, 90+7, in a 2-1 victory. But it looks like things are slowly working out under the new manager, under the brand new squad that's predominantly Ukrainian. Literally only one Brazilian in the team, which is, I'm sure that a lot of Celtic fans, even from the last time Shakhtar faced you guys in the 2000s, virtually unrecognisable. So it's going to be an interesting matchup this week, that's for sure.
Talking about the Shakhtar squad, as you said, they've always been so synonymous with having an influx of Brazilian players, but how is the team shaping up at the moment? I know you said a lot of the players will have left over the summer. Is the squad still in a strong place at this moment?
Well, you could probably say that it is weaker, just based on the fact that the players that have been brought in, so that's not really reinforcements, just the squad that it currently is made up a lot of Shakhtar Academy graduates. So they were in and around the team over the past couple of years, but they were never, well, the majority weren't like big starters, especially in midfield and attack. Shakhtar's core, a Ukrainian sort of representation, was always in defence, goalkeeper, centre defensive mid, and then the rest were sort of the Brazilians and the foreign players. So now a lot of these Ukrainian talents that may have not had the chance in the past have got their opportunity, and a lot of players that sort of used to play for Shakhtar as Ukrainians that ended up moving abroad or on loan somewhere have actually returned now and have actually got their chance to play. So that's Ivan Petiak, who was playing in Hungary, Alexander Zubkov, who played for Ferencváros, I think even played against Celtic a few years back in that Champions League qualifying round. They've returned and they're getting starts, they're getting minutes. Marian Shved, of course, I'm sure we'll touch on him in a bit, but he's had a great start to his Shakhtar career. Literally, he's got 3 goals in 3 matches now. So I think he's raring to go for the midweek one. And on the whole, and obviously Hailo Mudryk, who's probably the most spoken about Ukrainian player now in the world in terms of the hype that is going around him, the performance they put against Leipzig, and just in general the potential that the players got. I think it's an unprecedented time at Shakhtar, and it's like unpredictable currently in terms of what exactly this team could achieve, in terms of can they win the Ukrainian Premier League, despite the fact that they've lost so many players. They've got a new manager in Igor Jovicevic, who's a bit more dynamic. There's not really a philosophy or anything like that. They just adapt to the opponents that they've got with what they've got at hand, with the tools they've got, the players they've got. So it's interesting, but so far, I think just this early stage in the season, we're not 100% sure exactly where Shakhtar are going.
Yeah, let's talk about Marian Shved. He's a player that we know very well here at Celtic. Didn't really get much of an opportunity at his time in the hoops, but as you said, he started life as a Shakhtar player very well. How dangerous a player is he at this moment in time?
Yeah, he looks to have, I don't know, found his confidence back, because I think when he was at Celtic, obviously the managers just didn't really like him. I think there was always a psychological issue when he moved abroad, like lack of knowing the language, some sort of uncomfortability with not being away from his family, because I don't think they were with him constantly. So for whatever reason, just being abroad, it always just didn't seem to work out. Even when he moved to KV McKellen, there was issues there with training and certain problems. But now he's back in Ukraine. He's with his manager that he played under at Karpaty, so the club he played for before he joined Celtic. And it seems like he's a bit of a father figure to him. They work really well together, and he's got off to a great start in terms of two fortunate goals against Leipzig. But I mean, he was in the right place at the right time. He was anticipating the opportunities and got them. First the Galachi howler, and then a nice deflection on another shot on a counter, and then he scored a header against Shakhtar Donetsk this weekend. And he's not exactly the most pronounced person that you'd expect to score one of those, and it wasn't even from a set piece. So we'll see how sort of raring he is to go, but he looks to be in progressive and positive form ahead of this tie against his former club.
Yeah, this match it's an away match for Celtic, but it's taking place in Warsaw, as we've mentioned, so not a home ground for Shakhtar Donetsk either. How much of an impact, if at all, do you think that will have on the Shakhtar team?
The only thing that it might have is just the fact that they've been traveling a fair amount over the past few weeks, in and out of Ukraine. That's a bit tiresome at the border, and then getting flights and everything else to their away games in Europe and everything. But in terms of from a purely footballing perspective, they've not been playing at home for 8 years now, since they got, exiled from the Donbass arena when the Russians first invaded in 2014. So they've been nomadic throughout all of that. Obviously, their last stadium was in Kiev at the Olimpijski, and they got okay crowds there, but still, you would say that they were obviously tenants in a different city, in a different place that doesn't fully 100% support them, because obviously Dynamo Kiev are the big team in Kiev and predominantly around Ukraine as a whole. But the fact that they're playing in Warsaw, I think the match is close to a sellout, if not a sellout already. Like, I think there's only, when I saw the last announcement from Shakhtar a few days ago, it was like 2,500 tickets left. And I mean, I think it's close to a 30k stadium. So that's good stuff. There'll be obviously great support from the Poles that are there, but there's also like millions of Ukrainians, not just refugees, but diaspora, economic migrants, etc., who've lived in Warsaw for ages. So hopefully they'll come out. And like I said at the start, when Shakhtar used to, probably before February when the war broke out, they probably used to represent obviously their fans and Ukraine in European competition, but a lot of people were like, meh, I still won't support them, because obviously just the partisan nature of football. But now, since obviously for the past 6 months, they've been quite positive in their backing of Ukraine, of the army and all this other stuff, that I think there might be some fans who might not usually support Shakhtar will be getting involved, maybe even some of those Dynamo fans and all that kind of thing, which you could say is kind of unprecedented, especially if you put into context sort of your rivalry with Rangers, sort of arch rivals. It's a strange paradox, but it's this kind of thing that I think, due to the war, is sort of helping break down any differences and that kind of stuff. Of course, there will be still people that won't be 100% backing them, but it's the fact that Shakhtar need to perform in this Champions League season is kind of requirement for all of Ukrainian football, because from next season, I think Ukraine lose their automatic group stage spot, and then it could end up into sort of that dwindling cycle that even Scottish football found itself in a few years ago. But you've obviously rebuilt that in recent times from both your top two. So we'll see what happens.
Both teams have played one game so far in the Champions League group stages. Shakhtar Donetsk went away from home, beat RB Leipzig 4-1. I think it's a result that maybe shocked quite a few people in Scotland. How did that result go down in the Ukraine, and how well did Shakhtar play in that match?
I think everyone was surprised, even in Ukraine. They weren't expecting much from it. They knew that RB Leipzig had a great season last campaign. I don't think many people were taking too much into account that they have had quite a bad start to this season. And yeah, they've got great players and great talent, like worth probably around 10 times more than the Shakhtar squad in terms of if you're just looking at it on paper. However, Shakhtar sort of played RB Leipzig to a T, you could say, as in they knew exactly what to do. They let them have a lot of the ball in the first half, but RB Leipzig just didn't create anything that was worthwhile. They were solid defensively, and then they played to their strengths, which is they've got loads of pace down the wings. They're Shred and Mudryk, and they countered on that. And alongside that, there were some fortunate goals, as I mentioned, a bit of a howler for the opener, and then a deflection for Shred's goal. But that move to set that all up by Mudryk down the left, electric pace, great dribbling, and then just to lay it off for him. Was great, and then the third and fourth were similar. Literally, just pop it over the top, run it down the pitch, and pass it across the line for someone to tap in. So, yeah, you wouldn't say it was a perfect performance. Shakhtar are far from amazing or brilliant at this current stage. You know, maybe even compared to how they've been looking in recent years, or some of the best Shakhtar sides that we've seen, but they've already improved on last season's campaign. So literally last season, they played obviously 6 games in the group stage, only got 2 points, 2 draws out of all of those matches, and scored 2 goals or 3 goals. So they've bettered that inside one match. And I think some people I've been hearing in Ukraine saying, if Shakhtar end up losing the remainder and have this one win, at least that'll be some sort of achievement anyway, given the context. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think anyone can get too ahead of themselves inside literally just the first match. And obviously Leipzig were very poor. They ended up sacking their manager and all that kind of stuff. But the opportunity for, I guess, especially maybe Europa League is a reality. And I hope that especially these home matches in Warsaw, where there should be some decent support from a Ukrainian perspective, they can get some positive results following up as well.
Yeah, so if Celtic are to get something out of this match, what areas do you think Celtic should be looking to try and exploit Shakhtar, maybe defensively?
Well, obviously Mudryk. I'm sure that someone will be tasked with dealing with him. Similarly, defensively, they're rather solid, and the fact that sort of the key man, the understated player, is a Taras Stepanenko in defensive midfield. He literally breaks up a lot of play, and then he restarts the counters with passing out to the fullbacks or the wingers. So I think those two certainly ones to watch out for in terms of if Celtic want to quash anything from a Shakhtar attack perspective. But it'll be interesting because is it Abada from you guys? He was linked with Shakhtar like literally 2 seasons ago. I'm pretty sure it was like the winter, and it was like about 6 months before he ended up joining you guys. So it'll be interesting to see how obviously he plays, because I think there were like talks and it was almost coming in, and then something broke down. He was linked with both Shakhtar and Dynamo Kiev, so interesting to see how he comes up against it. But yeah, I think Shakhtar know how dangerous Celtic are, especially going forward. So it's going to be an edgy, tight game, but I'm sure we'll see some goals. I'm almost certain about that.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think we're all very much looking forward to it. So just finally, Andrew, how do you think it's going to go if you were to predict an outcome?
I'm just going to be positive, probably a bit too positive, but 2-1 Shakhtar, possibly in this one. I think might be a bit of another Mudryk show, and I don't know. It just seems written in the stars, and I'm sure I've seen a lot of Celtic players, a lot of Celtic fans on Twitter and elsewhere saying they see it coming too. Shred getting on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're emotionally ready for that, but we'll see how it goes. But Andrew, thank you so much for joining us, and might get to see you when we're over there. But all the best, and I'm sure it'll be an entertaining game.
So as the Celts play here on Wednesday night, the B team are also in action against Shakhtar Donetsk in Warsaw. And you can keep up to date with all of the action on the Celtic FC B Twitter page, with the game kicking off at 11 o'clock Celtic Park time. So from all of us here in Warsaw, hope you enjoyed the podcast, and hopefully come Wednesday night we're celebrating 2 victories for the Celts.